readers, welcome to another edition of Because Fiction Q&A, where we ask authors your questions. So thank you, readers, for all the questions you submitted to our author for this week. I'm so excited to have the amazing Janet Ferguson on with me. I had a chance to meet her when we were in Texas a few years back, and has just been was just a blessed time. We had a great time. We had tables next to each other, so it's so fun. So I'm so excited to have her on today. Can you give a little bit of update to the readers on what's been going on with you?
Oh, sure. I in the winter from January through the end of March have been for the last 4 years working at the Mississippi Legislature. So I just finished that, and while I'm working, I usually write a little bit, but not as much as I normally do. But I have got written about over 30,000 words in my latest story, which is called Healing Sky. And if you read any of my other books, this is Star's sister. So, it's set in Dauphin Island, Alabama, and she is a marine biologist. So I've had the opportunity on a couple of weekends to get down to Dauphin Island, Alabama. One time I got to research by interviewing 2 of the marine biologists that work at the sea lab there. There's a sea lab there. So that's been fascinating. And I've been to a lot of restaurants there, walked on the beach there, just done all their little touristy and hometown things. So that's fun. That's one of my favorite parts of writing is research. And so I'm just kind of trying to hit the ground running. I think last week was my first full week at home, and I actually hired a house cleaner because I'd gotten so behind on everything.
Well, that happens. And I bet it's been nice. I know being home and stuck home with COVID and everything, I bet it was nice to be able to go out and look and walk on the beach and do some fun things.
Yes, it was nice. And there's a lot less people there in the winter, so I could do a lot of stuff. And I'm going back on Memorial Day weekend, which will be totally different because it'll be nice and hot. And but we have got a fishing trip lined up because my hero is a fishing charter captain, and I know nothing about fishing. So this book has been fun because I'm learning a lot. I just hope I can do it justice. So I always like the learning part, researching careers, so and places.
That's so fun. That's so fun. It sounds like it's going to be a great book. And I love how your book, like a lot of them have been set in the South, and, you just get that feel of, you really truly give the feel of the South. That's what I've always enjoyed about reading your books.
Thanks. I don't know a whole lot other, how to write any place else sometimes because, being from Mississippi, I'm, we're about as Southern as you can get.
That is true. Well, thank you so much for the update. And I know, readers, that you had some dental work done, so we'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, this is so going to go in a novel somewhere because I did not realize that I was going to do a replacement dentist thing because of all the COVID, and it got rescheduled today, and they start doing something to my mouth, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're deadenting you. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to be on a podcast. And will I be able to talk? Oh, you should. Your tongue may feel like it's really thick and your jaw may feel swollen. And I'm like, oh, great. That's just something that would happen to me. That would happen to one of my characters, but it's going to be exaggerated a lot more. So if I look a little off or talk a little with a lisp, it's not my normal thing, but that's just par for my life. That's just something that would happen. So,
well, and you're such a trooper because you're like, let's just go ahead and do it. It's so fun. And so what a blessing you are. So let's go ahead and get started with questions. I'm excited. Are you?
Oh, yeah. I like seeing what people want to know about, my crazy, often writing world by myself. I mean, I told you about the fun parts, but a lot of it's just being at home in my yoga pants and thinking up weird stuff. So
One of the questions that somebody recently asked me when I was talking with them is if you prefer Janet or Jeanette.
Oh, I'm sorry. Normally people call me Janet.
Janet. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. I said, I don't really know. And I get those questions myself, like, are you Sandra or Sandy? And I'm like, well, I'll answer to either, but really.
Yeah, I get, called Janice by a lot of people for some reason too. So I just answered as something close to that. So
Okay, so our first question is, do you put characteristics of yourself, family, or friends in your book characters?
honestly, I think that there's parts of me and all of my characters and parts of people that I meet or that I know. But then when I start writing my characters, they just kind of jump out and have their own personality. Um, a friend of mine that when I first started writing kind of whacked me over the head. She writes love inspired novels, Lorraine Beatty, and told me to do character interviews with my characters before I start writing. Hers were pretty long. I do that to some extent to get me started. But when I start writing their thoughts and their dialogue, they just take on a life of their own. One of the best examples is I was writing for uh, what is it, The Art of Rivers, and a secondary character named Davis just jumped on the screen and he told Rivers, he said, well, aren't you hot as a $2 pistol? And from then on, he just said the craziest things in the novel. And I'm like, I knew that eventually after that, he'd have his own story. And that's the story I just wrote in 2020 into a romantic comedy because I needed something light to write in 2020 because it was crazy. So
So that's so good. Well, that's so fun. I love when you do character sketches and things like that, because you can really, as an author, see your character. But also I think it's such a handy tool because you can refer back and say, well, especially if you're at a book later on and you want to go back and look and say, or character interviews, because you'll see, what did I do? Did I make them green-eyed, brown-eyed? I mean, like, it was
yeah.
like
Oh yeah. I definitely try to keep a little character sketch on that stuff too because I do forget. Like I'm writing my 10th book and I know there's people that write lots more and I know they must have a really hard time keeping up. But yeah.
So our next question is actually, one person submitted a few questions for you, and she wants to know, it's Kimmy, she wants to know where your ideas come from.
Oh goodness. My ideas, like my very first novel was, I never knew I'd write multiple novels. My first novel, I wanted to write because I struggled with anxiety and panic attacks. And so I wanted to delve into that because a lot of people I met, I'm pretty really open about that. And I met other people that would say, they suffer from some kind of emotional or mental disorder. But the really, sad part is they also suffer from um, embarrassment or shame because a lot of people think just get over it, why can't you just get over that? And so especially even in the church, a lot of times people think that you should have faith and it should just go away,
Right.
and it often doesn't. So that was my first story, and I wanted to write a story that showed that no matter what our weakness or problem or disorder, that we're all still useful in God's kingdom, in our families and our communities, that we can be a part of doing even just small things to still serve the Lord, and we shouldn't just to dispel some of that shame. And then while I was writing that, just all these other books and issues kept coming into my mind. And I guess that's, inspiration because, I just kept going. And sometimes though, my favorite thing is to be at the beach. Like for Blown Together, I was at the beach and I was like, what if there was this lonely romance writer that lived at the beach with her hairless cat, and she is the queen of bad first dates. And that just pops in my head, you know, and I pictured her chasing an umbrella down the beach, and then that was, you know, that's it. So, I mean, they'll just pop in my head. So it, you know, one little story or somebody will say one little thing, and there it goes. It just becomes alive. It's usually, I think of a character first. With the Art of Rivers, I was in St. Simon's, and I pictured this guy, you know, that I heard the stories about. They have really bad tides there that can just leave people stranded. And it's like, what if he was using drugs and his cousin drowned because he wasn't sober enough to help her, and his family hated him, you know? And so that just, I don't know, that pops in, and then I just start writing the story. So
I think that's so amazing, though, how honest and open you are. And I know one person in particular who has struggled and said that your books have been such a blessing because, you know, it's hard and a lot of people don't talk about it or are not so open, or they'll write, but maybe not share themselves. And I think what a blessing. So that big noise you heard was my dog. I had to.
I didn't even hear it.
Oh, she's over here trying to pester me. As this is the fun part about doing these live, right?
Oh,
Because
I know. I've got dogs and cats around here too. But you know, what we were saying is, I think that the bad and the good about our problems is that God can use all of them to, you know, the beauty for ashes, where he can take what you've gone through and allow you to minister to somebody else. So that's
absolutely. But I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that about you, because I know it touches people.
thank you. God gets the glory. So I always tell people I don't know how I finish a book. You know, when I started, I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is ever going to get done. So
I haven't. I'm still working on my first one, so I think it's just amazing what what you guys do, and I'm so thankful that you have wrote these, and I know it's been helpful for people. So I kind of leads into what we've been talking about, leads into the next question. What has been the easiest and hardest books for you to write?
Okay. The easiest was probably Star Rising, because it followed my vacation to Ireland, and that was like so much fun to write. To go back to all those places, and it just kind of all spilled out. The hardest one I wrote was definitely The Art of Rivers, which dealt with the different sides of addiction, and delving into that is just, it's such a vicious disorder or disease, whatever you want to call it, that affects so many people. And just getting into the pain of that on all different sides. I mean, the people that are addicts, and then the people that are, you know, hurt by addicts. I mean, that was just a hard one. But
See how that could be very emotional.
it was a very emotional journey. So
So the next question that she has for you is, do you like coffee or tea?
oh, I wake up looking forward to my coffee. I
This is
love
why we're
coffee.
friends.
I know. I'm just thinking, like, sometimes I'm holding the warm mug and it's like, I love you, coffee. Definitely a coffee addict. I drink 2 cups a day, and I don't let myself have any more normally. So I don't get too jittery or
Yeah.
hyper.
So that was a fun one. So Naomi Craig wants to know, what is one thing that may or may not affect your writing that would surprise everybody?
That's such a great question. I guess it probably won't be surprising, but maybe it is. I don't know. But pain really affects my writing. Emotional pain or physical pain. It can both stall my writing, because when you're in the midst of an emotional mess, it's really hard to sit down and, okay, let's write some fiction. But also, if I delve into what's hurting me, and just try to process that out with God, then I'm all the better for it. And the writing is much better and much deeper, and people can relate to it more. And sometimes it hurts to delve into those hard places, but it makes it better. And then even like, I remember I had the flu one time and I felt like I was just dying. And I was like, this is going into a book. So I started writing notes like, I want my mama, and just stuff like, I feel so bad, I can't stand it, and so, yeah, it ended up in a book, but it's kind of comical at times. But yeah, I mean, that's what I really think that's a great question, because if it's a family issue, a death of a friend, a shock, an illness or stress, writing and grappling with that
I think
can be
that's what
tough.
makes books so real,
Mhm,
because you're pulling on that,
mhm.
um, things that you're going through. So you feel what your character is feeling.
It is, yeah. And I think readers can see that when definitely feel what you're going into. So,
Absolutely. So our next question is from Patty. Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed one. Natalia Lochno. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Sometimes I remember being a teacher. It's like, first you don't get the name right. Do you ever act out your characters in front of the mirror?
that's so great. I haven't really thought about it, but I do act out my like actions sometimes. I'm in here moving my arms, y'all can't see it, but because I have to see, does this motion make sense sometimes? And that's particularly in like fights or kisses or hugging or something like that. And I probably look ridiculous, especially in the fight. I mean, I'm terrible. Those are the hardest things to write, kisses and fights. And not that I have a lot of either one of them, but yeah, I'll just like, and he moved his arm along, and I'm just like doing that. And my arms are probably just going all over, or kick. Shove it. Yeah, but it's not in front of the mirror. That would probably just break my concentration. I saw myself doing it. It
That
wasn't
was
my
a great
fault.
question. I love it. So Patty wants to know she hasn't read any of your books before. So do you have a particular favorite or one that you suggest that people start with if they haven't read your book?
I say The Art of Rivers because like I just said, it's some of my best writing, and I think this story is powerful. You know, I think it's definitely had the most comments and reviews of because so many people know somebody that's gone through dealing with somebody in their life that has addiction, or maybe they've gone through it too. So for me, that would be my best writing. So I would recommend it. And glory to God, like I said, that was a hard one to write. And anyway, so I think it turned out well, though.
Definitely
Well, for me.
a definite one to start with.
Mhm.
Um, so Sheila Hall wants to know, she has two questions for you. What do you do when you're not writing? What do you like to do?
Oh, I go for walks every day, and I usually walk my dog because she's getting kind of old, and then I have to take her back. She doesn't go very far, and then I'll go for a longer walk, either with a friend, by myself, or my husband. I mean, that's pretty much an everyday thing. And while I'm out, really wherever I go, I take pictures of stuff with my phone. I love nature and clouds, and I like to take pictures of flowers, just stuff like that. And then I also like Bible study. I read naturally. I read a lot of Christian fiction. So just stuff like that, normal stuff. I like to eat. That's definitely a favorite, and that gets me in trouble sometimes. So I'm trying to break my carbohydrate tendencies.
Oh, carbs. We started the keto diet in January, and I didn't think it would be so hard because, like, I'm not a bread eater or really a pasta eater, but there are definitely things I miss. Like, there is just something wrong about gumbo without rice.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I could live literally on potatoes.
been another hard one. And
Yeah.
my husband, he's Hispanic and he misses beans. That's been
Oh, I know, yeah. And I think, I do allow like some beans and stuff, but yeah, eating is fun, and we like my husband and I like to go out to dinner, and especially now that our kids are 20ish something and grown, and we can go out by ourselves and just order what we want and stuff, pick our restaurant. It's kind of fun. So
that is really something that's a lot of fun. My kids are like you in their 20s, and so we can go and you don't have to worry about paying for 5 people anymore. Sometimes you can get a steak when you used to not be able to.
exactly. Yeah, I remember my daughter, she says, y'all used to never go out to eat. We didn't, I mean, it was like so rare. It's like, well, we're on a budget because we're going to pay for your college, and your car, stuff like that for you. But now we're done and we treat ourselves. So, and I will say I like to go to the beach whenever available. I mean, I don't live at a beach, so I mean, it's like a little trip. So I like to travel too. Traveling is fun. I learn things. So.
So I will ask you, this is not a question that the readers put, but I would be curious if money wasn't an issue and time was an issue and you could go anywhere, where would you go, friend?
Oh goodness, money, or I mean, gosh, there's so many places, but I could just stay at Fort Morgan for Alabama for a long time and just stay on the beach. But there's some places I'd love to get. I'd love to see New Zealand. I just think that would be beautiful. My husband wants to go to Scotland, and I'm all for that too. But that sounds a lot colder. I like warm weather if I was gonna just stay for an extended amount of time. So
Well,
I'm
that's
used to
fun.
warm.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. And so now comes the part that's a lot of fun too, and that's where we get to pick winners. So a winner for a $5 Amazon gift card. So let me ask you, who put forward your favorite question? What was your favorite question today?
Oh, I like that question that I asked that talked about pain. Let me go back. I don't remember who wrote it, but well, I talked about pain. It was like, what is one thing that may or may not affect your writing that would surprise everybody?
That
So
was
I don't know.
Naomi Craig. So Naomi,
Okay.
please email me at celebratelit@celebratelit.com and I will get that uh, gift card over to you. That was a great question. I mean, so many of them are good, but I really enjoyed that
Oh
one.
yeah, they were all great questions.
Thoughtful. So, and then readers, we also have another fun giveaway for you. We have a special book that Janet is giving away, and she is going to give it away to one person who is commenting below. So tell us something. So we talked about pain and how she uses it in her books. What is something that, like, when you have pain, what do you go to? Is there a favorite verse? Is there something that a friend that the Lord has put in your life? How do you deal with that pain? Tell us below in the comments. If you are seeing this video outside of the main Celebrate Lit page, make sure that you go there and put your comments in there, because that's where we'll be looking, and that's where the comments count. And we'll be picking one winner to win.
Oh, me. My latest book is For the Love of Joy. The one that I said was actually a romantic comedy that I just wrote and released. Probably at the first of the year. It came out January 1st, I think. So, and that would be in the United States because it's easier to mail there. So,
Right. And then maybe if it's an international winner, we could send them an ebook.
yeah, and I might be able to get one through Book Depository. I'll have to just check. Sometimes they can do a paperback. It won't be signed or anything, but it could come from there. So
That sounds good. Well, thank you, readers, for joining us today. Thank you for spending the time. I love getting to know you and talking with you. It's been such a blessing.
thank you for having me. It was fun.
It's fun. So thank you. And readers, we'll see you next time on our Because Fiction Q&A, where we ask authors your questions. And we thank you again for all the questions you submitted. See you next time. Bye.